Hey, wouldn't it be awesome if after all these years of never releasing a training schedule, you finally figured out the best way to train and you release it? Oh, it's a nice dream. It's not a dream. The training research team at Zealand Corp has put together the training regime that you should use for your team. The results observed not using this routine and using this routine are positively insane. I will run you through those. What this is going to do is prepare your team to play matches, continue players' development, and limit injuries. We are going to make a separate entire video about injuries, so I do ask that you at least save those questions until you watch that video or that video comes out next week, because that will be the video that comes out after this one in the training series. But what we've gone through is created a training regime for 1 game a week and for 2 games a week. We also have a bit of a rotation, and I'm going to walk you through the different things you can sub in and sub out of that training regime, as you would hope, because it's one thing for me to just give you a plug and play training regime to use. It's another thing to understand why it's working and how you can adjust it for your specific needs. Because like everything in Football Manager, it is not just about finding the best generic way to do something, it's about finding the best specific way to help your team, because every situation is just that little bit different. Of course, that's the case for everyone unless you are Norwich, because you don't belong in the league that you are in. Okay, but then of course, what does that mean about Burnley? So without further ado, let's build the 1 match a week training setup that showed the best results, shall we? So here is the schedule. The first important thing to think about when you're looking at the schedule is that we are going to assume that Saturday is the match day. And this is important because sometimes in leagues the match day is Sunday or Friday, or sometimes it freaking rotates, and so it's not on the same day. But you need to align this training based off what day the match is. So this isn't like you should do this on Monday. This is you should do it the second day after the match. Capiche? And the second day after the match is tremendously important because we have found that this is the day where you can have the most intense training. This second day after the match, we go with overall, and then we do another segment of overall. There's no deterioration doing the same training regime twice. What would you call this? The same training thing. And then in this third spot right here, for the moment, we're going to swap in one-on-ones. Like we said before, this is your heaviest day of training, and this one-on-ones is going to have the opportunity to move depending on what style of training exactly you are looking for this week. But it's a good training section. It allows the defense and offense to work on the attributes for their individual roles, and it also keeps your goalkeepers sharp, especially if you have a young keeper, to allow them to continue to develop over the course of the season. What you'll notice is that we are creating a balance between defending and attacking. That means that you can use this almost every week and it will make sense and everybody will be happy and everybody will be improving. The next day we'll start with some defending, and then we will go into some outfield, where overall is an incredibly broad bit of training. Outfield's a little more focused, but it still is giving you a nice broad impact to your team. And then because we need to start to lower the intensity a little bit, we're going to include some match tactics training. This is good. It increases your tactical familiarity. It also increases your team cohesion, which is important, and your decision making, which is important. It also has the added bonus of not really affecting your fatigue or condition. And as you'll notice, it adds nothing to injury risk, which is something that you can notice on something like outfield, defending. You're increasing the injury risk slightly of the focused on collection of players, which in this case would be everybody that's not a goalkeeper. And in match tactics would be literally everybody. On the third day, we're going to start to focus on attacking. Here we'll work on attacking patient. Now this is a hyper-focused training session that's 60% on your attacking collection of players, your attacking unit. I covered units in the previous video, which of course this is part of a series. If you haven't watched the previous 2 videos of this series, the link to the most recent one is up there. And in this spot, we'll do a more general attacking training. And this actually works on the overall attacking ability of everybody in the squad, not just those in your attacking unit. In the last bit, we are going to do some chance creation. I know you're looking at this thinking this is probably as intense as the second day after the match, but the second day after the match, you actually reduce the condition of players. By doing overall, you'll notice that things like outfield, things like attacking patient, chance creation, those don't actually reduce the condition of your players severely the way that overall does. So this day, even though it's full, is significantly less intensive. And on Thursday and Friday, we're going to get into more buff-oriented training. This is the stuff that we talked about in the most recent video, so if you want more details on buffs, I absolutely recommend checking that out. We're going to throw some possession training in the middle, which is going to emphasize possession-based attributes for all of your outfield players. Stuff like technique, anticipation, first touch, dribbling, passing, decisions, teamwork, good stuff. It even has an increase to your team cohesion, which makes sense. And then in this spot, you can include whatever you want from the set piece menu. I'll generally go attacking corners, but if you struggle defending set pieces, you don't have a lot of size, maybe work on defending corners or defending free kicks, because that will boost your ability to defend those set pieces for the upcoming match. On the day before the match, we keep getting those buffs in. So that would be attacking movement and defensive shape. But what we have done in our training regime is actually included a specific style of defensive training. Now, the same as how we chose attacking patient, you can rotate these to fit your playing style, or just rotate them throughout the season if you like to play a couple of different styles, right? You can have attacking on the wings, attacking direct, or here you can have defending engage, disengage, defending wide, whatever you feel like you need to work on. What I would recommend though is either defending engaged, disengaged, wide, or defending from the front. Ground defense and aerial defense are more specific types of training. They don't actually improve happiness and team cohesion the way that the other four do. So for this purpose, we'll put defending from the front. There's a lot to digest here, and there are a couple of different formats for this, like when we have a second match during the week, how you're going to get all your buffs in and those sorts of things. But you know what helps organize that sort of chaos is an app that I'm super excited to start working with. I've started using it on stream and it's fantastic. It's called FontMob. Now you can download this on your phone. You can also access it on your browser. I know, because I have it flagged right here. Fortunately, it has a dark mode. Thank goodness. I love dark modes. And all it does is organize all of the matches that you want to keep up with. I find it very difficult as an American, where this sort of stuff does not dominate the news cycle, for me to stay aware of all the important matches that are going on. When's the Champions League stuff kicking off? When's the CONCACAF Champions League stuff kicking off? Or how I keep up with all of my crazy international matches that I like to watch, how I know when the Asian Cup is kicking off. All of that stuff is available here, and scores all around the world that are completely up to date. You want to see what happened in the El Salvadorian Premier League? Well, we've got live action in the 67th minute between Alianza and Santa Tecla FC. Like, we know that stuff, and you can track it on FontMob. You can sign in on your phone, carry it with you on the go. I do. This is what helps me keep up with scores no matter where I am. I'm walking through Central Park. Let's be honest, I'm never doing that. I don't touch grass. And FontMob can be with you every step of the way so that you can know in the Premier League U18s, Southampton beat Chelsea 3-0. Maybe Southampton's on to something in the youth academy, or maybe the fact that Chelsea isn't going to be able to loan out 300 players a season is going to harm their youth development long term. It's an incredibly useful tool. It's got trending news articles just to the right here about anything and everything you could be interested about to keep you up to date on what is happening. They are pulled from all sorts of great sources. Like right here, Jack Gallagher's already ranked the 4 semifinalists for the Champions League, and the semifinals was set the day I'm recording this video. So I'll save you the trip. There's a link down in the description. You can go click on that and get yourself signed up on FontMob today so you can get to tracking all of your favorite teams. Great group of people running the company, and a great, like, it's functional. It does exactly what it's supposed to do, and it keeps me up to date on everything that's going on, so I look less like an American every day. I'll be drinking tea by next year. But back to our training schedules, what we want to do the day after the match is just one recovery, one match review, and then we're going to add one team bonding. And this is your basic schedule for training every week. But of course, it's not always that simple, and players will complain, and you are going to need to mix it up a bit. So here are all of the different ways that you can mix it up. First, let me save this as basic week, and I will get that uploaded on Steam with a link down in the description that you can download. And if you don't have Steam, you can look at it and plug it into your game, or just use some version of it that we're about to talk about. First, and most importantly, I think we need to design a 2-match week. So let's assume that the matches are on Wednesday and Saturday, and those are the 2 match days that we are going to be working around. Well, obviously, we are going to need to baby the team a little bit more. So we're going to start with making sure we have our buffs in here. We're going to go with the teamwork. Then we're going to add our attacking training, which for us is going to be attacking patient. We really want to hammer home our focus on that passing, that technique, the composure, decision making, the flair, the vision, being able to break teams down. You see, when you look at direct, it's more dribbling, finishing, first touch, long shots. You still get passing, of course, and all that stuff. But you can have a click through all of your different attacking options to see what that's going to affect. I think attacking patient works on the best, broadest collection of attributes. But then, because of our limited time, we are going to add in some defending training as well. Then the day before the match, we're going to get defensive shape in, and to be a little less intense, intensive, we're going to do some set piece training. And on this particular point, we're going to work on our set piece delivery. Nice bit of technique training, gives you a boost for your delivery in the next match. But after this first match, we're going to have to hit the ground running. Now, we're doing a lot of boosting for our cohesion already, so it's important that we get some attacking training in. We're going to hit attacking patient again, and we're going to add some defensive training, defending from the front. The following day in the morning, we'll be working on attacking movement, and for this particular match, we will be traveling, so we aren't even able to schedule anything. That's assuming that you are traveling for one of these two matches. Whatever match that you're not traveling for, you want to put that set piece work into that spot. That would mean you're traveling back the next day, so we're just going to do a recovery and then a match review, and this is your 2-match a week training schedule. Then it just loops around again. You do teamwork, attacking patient, and you still have all of your buffs going for every match as long as you're playing 2 matches a week. That's something you really need to be paying attention to, and we get a little attacking and defending training in every week. We also avoid crazy intensity, and we allow your team the opportunity to recover. Let's say both these matches are at home though, and both these trainings are open, then you can throw in a team bonding. It's not intensive at all, and it will help. I know these full bars for training are pretty intimidating, but a little trick if you want to understand exactly how intense that training is for your team, you can see for all of your units the intensity of that training below while you're creating these schedules, and obviously keeping it down at like 39% of match intensity. Like this is okay, especially when you're not even the day before or after a match. You see, we're keeping it pretty low intensity for our units even right after a match. We're down at 30% of match intensity on that day. But let's go back to basic for a week, because you're not going to want to run this every time. It's a solid format, but every few weeks you're going to want to throw in some physical training. So here's how you're going to do that. You go in and change one of these to physical, and this is going to up the intensity pretty significantly, as you can see. But we're going to take these one-on-ones, take them off, and add the one boost that you don't already have. We're going to put in defensive shape there, and you see how that has reduced the intensity and will keep the intensity balanced for the entire team over the course of the training, while allowing you to get physical training in, which is going to work on your physical side of the game. If you do not do this every couple of weeks, your team will start to complain about a lack of physical training. So rotating this in every 3 or 4 weeks when you're playing a match every week is a very good idea. But what if your matches are coming asymmetrically? You have a match 10 days from now. What can you do? You can copy and replicate one of these days of training. So if it's not the day before a match, which in case you're going to want to use something that looks like Friday, you're going to want to have one type of actual focus training and 2 very low intensity versions of boost training, mental training. You can come in here and replicate another one of these days of training. Just keep in mind that if you've already used this boost, the actual boost for the match is not going to carry over. So you do have the opportunity perhaps to throw in another type of set piece training. You can throw in another type of attacking, defending, or technical training based off what you see while you're looking at it, what attributes you feel like you need to work on in particular. But one question you're absolutely going to ask is, how do you keep these guys from getting injured, especially when you're on 2-match basic? I know this looks scary to somebody like me that is always afraid of injuries, but if you do everything the right way here, you are able to actually reduce injuries within your team. There's one little tidbit that I will leave you with as we are going to talk about injuries in the next training video. And that's when you go to rest and you go up here, this is what it should look like. So those players that are not 100% fit are not training with double intensity on those most intense days after a match. But people will only observe this intensity as long as you go into individual training and make sure it's set to automatic. If you have this little circle next to their intensity, that means it is set to automatic. If you take them off and you set it to double, there will not be that circle. If they're on automatic, they will respond to whatever you have set in the rest, which means if they are completely fit, they will be doing double intensity. If they are not completely fit after a match on that most intense day, they will not be doing as intense training. But the rest of that stuff is coming in the next video. You can download the 2 training presets down below and you can tweak them to your delight. But if you add more intensity and then you get more injuries, you can't blame me. I warned you. Oh, one more thing. I just turned off my entire video recording setup, but I realized there are some of you that absolutely love numbers. Now, we were going to dig into the numbers a little later in this video series because the tests that we did were not just like on this training in particular, but what I can tell you is that with this specific set of training, we finished first in the league. So with good coaches in this specific set of training, we finished first in the league with the team we were testing with. But when we left the training to the assistant coach and they had bad coaches, the team finished 9th in our tests. So this can make a massive difference. And those are the data numbers to back this up. The data numbers. Anyways, the numbers to back this up. So I know some people like myself won't believe something unless you hear test results like that. More videos down the line in this series, and you will actually see a lot more of those results. If you want to watch the previous episode of the series about match boost that I mentioned a little bit earlier, that is right there. Head over there, like right now.